This is Anthony Gardner, founder of Raptor Press. Among other things, we publish supplements for fantasy role playing games. I'm going to start a series of review videos dealing with campaign settings. So, this is my sort of my rationale video to explain to you what it is that I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to be looking at campaign settings. I just thought it was logical to make a 0-0 video, as it were. So why campaign settings? Well, I actually really like storytelling. I'm also a writer of both fiction and nonfiction. So campaign settings really is where the story takes place, and it's really where modern role-playing games take place. Um, Again, the old school role playing games, you built a dungeon. There was no reason why it was there. There was no reason why the monsters populated the dungeon. There was no reason why they came back or didn't come back after you killed them. It was just there. You plowed through it and you had fun. Um, Now, many more role players are interested in the story, the setup, and how everything plays out. So, this particular little series, as I said, is going to cover campaign settings and where you can, run your games, give them a reason, give the characters a reason to exist, and something larger than themselves to fight for, to strive, to win and die for. A campaign setting is often a separate document that um, a publisher or a writer sets out, and they describe the world um, of the setting. And when I say the world of the setting, it doesn't have to be an actual world or even a continent. One of the first campaign settings that we're going to cover is actually just set in a northern wilderness section of a single kingdom. It doesn't say where the kingdom is, it doesn't say what continent or what world it's on. It's just set in a wooded area. So the campaign setting doesn't have to be um, an actual world or continent. A campaign setting is kind of like a playhouse that somebody gives you and that they let you play in. Um, you can have a playhouse that's just like a leaky tarp in um, an old bush, and that's a really crappy playhouse. Um, or you can have a fully furnished mansion, with an indoor swimming pool and a golf course with servants and other kids as playmates, and it's like you're in heaven. But most campaign settings are really in between those two extremes. I'm not really going to be talking about mechanics, that is, dice rolls, cards, whatever you're doing to, run the actual game. Those are really a framework for resolving opposition, like combat or saves or tasks or something like that, and and determining chance or probability. That's not really part of the setting. You could the best campaign settings are system independent. In other words, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Pathfinder or Swords and Wizardry or something like that. You can take that campaign setting and run your characters within that world, within that setting, and it doesn't matter. whether you're throwing D20s or D100s. Um, so when I do these videos, I'm going to be covering non-WotC settings. But I like to explore, literally I like to explore other worlds. I know there's people out there like me, who like to look at campaign settings, so I'm just going to look at a few and let you know about them. I'm going to cover the theme. Is it a light setting? Is it a dark setting? Is it high magic, low magic, high fantasy, low fantasy? That kind of thing. Um, what is the structure of the campaign setting? How complete is it? How much has the author put into it? Have they included, different sections? Have they included religions? Have they included um, groups that you can belong to or oppose? Have they detailed locations? This sort of thing. Also, I'm going to look at whether there are supporting materials for the campaign setting. Now, sometimes there are other books. Are there supporting documents for any of these campaign settings? And what is that availability? Again, there are some of the old settings that um, had additional documents made for them that were great, but the books are no longer available. Playability. And by that, I mean, you know, is it going to be fun? Or is it going to be something where the DM has to spend all their time, um, building stuff out? Can you reach into the source book and pull something out and say, here it is, guys, this is what you run into? Or is it going to be a pain in the rear to set up a campaign? I'm also going to be mentioning um, document layout and design. I know that really doesn't matter to some folks out there, but is it going to be a slog to get through this? Or are there 100 pages with 3 pages of text, and the rest is crappy artwork? That's a consideration as well. Some subjective things. I'm going to talk about the value. Is it going to be worth it for the price that you're going to have to pay? Um, is everything in the book, or is a lot of stuff in the book? Can you get by with just the book that is the campaign setting, or do you have to buy everything else? Because in some cases, the campaign setting isn't in a separate book. It's basically spelled out in the modules. So, in the first module that you buy, you're in a town, and then in the next one, you're in a city and you hear rumors of the wider world, and in the next one, you're traveling through a forest and you learn more about the campaign setting. Um, do you have to buy all those? If you do, how much are they? What's it going to set you back? What's the value um, for this campaign setting? And I'm going to wind up with a recommendation. I'm going to give a number of stars out of 5 stars. And I will tell you right now, I very rarely give 5 stars for anything. Let's put it this way: for most of my reviews, a 4 is going to be a glowing review. I That said, I do have prejudices. You want to know this going in. Um, I like traditional, or some people might even call it stereotypical fantasy. Um, I my exposure was The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and variations of that. Um, so that's the kind of thing that I like. Um, I'm currently playing um, with the D&D 5e mechanical system. But like I said, the mechanical system shouldn't matter as far as the campaign setting. You should be able to. I like campaign settings where you can grab them and just drop them on top of the mechanics. Um, I prefer role playing over roll playing. So I was not one of the people who played in the dungeons. Hey, there's a dungeon. Let's go hack our way through it and win a lot of cash. Um, I prefer character development. I prefer, again, exploring the world, the the the, the campaign setting around the characters, and that's really what I enjoy. Um, if I only pick up the dice a couple of times during a session, that's fine with me. Um, so that's the kind of thing I like. I also like epic stories. So um, if my character is going to spend a lot of time in a city, just buying meat or going to the armorer, that's cool. But I want a larger picture. I'm looking for something for the characters to do. As I said, some larger purpose for the characters to explore. And and really, the final thing is, I like to escape reality. So I know there are games out there that it doesn't matter whether it's a fantasy setting or whatever. They'll take themes, they'll take tropes from real life, and you've got to go through that. Your characters have to go through that, and that's for me personally. That's not what I'm looking for. So uh, I will be talking about campaign settings as they apply to all these things. And we'll get started with the very first one very quickly. Thanks.